happens when you first die, after you're resurrected, and in it I go through the whole process by how that happens. There's an actual resurrection team, and it's not magic. It's really planned out. And it's no different than someone is, for example, doing a biological creation of some manner where they have this team member doing that and that, and they have exactly that, and they formulate a body particularly for you, because each of us is unique, and they know our history, and so they give us a new body, and all your different parts are assembled. I go into these different parts. For example, you get a brand new mind. Someone who has dementia, and they no longer can make judgments and all of that, Alzheimer's. At the time, they no longer can make judgments between right and wrong. There's really no more value to living, because our purpose here in life is all the challenges and difficulties to choose between the right hand and the left. What's our best sense of what God would want us? What's our highest sense of what's true, good, and beautiful? And we do that. Now, those are moral and ethical decisions. Now, every time we make one of those decisions, our soul grows, because that soul is within us. The way it grows is a combination of the indwelling spirit that each one of us has assigned to us and our human mind and the decisions we make. So some people, I would say, are basically animalistic. Sometimes you see these movies and they're terrible where these people whatever their animal urges are, that's all they indulge in. They never think about anything. But I would say these kind of people, there's nothing for God to work with. So upon death, I think that's it. There's no reason to raise them. But then there are people who I would call are light souls. They do think from time to time, and they'll make decisions, but not much. They just live a very natural life. But God will afford everyone an opportunity in the next life. If there's any modicum of desire, they get a chance. And then they have to decide. Because there's a momentum we have created down here. It takes an effort to change your character, whether it's in this life or the life to come. And then you have people, they have been mindful that they have to make decisions for right or wrong as they go through life, and they do. And the best they can, they try to do what's right. They have a very good opportunity to continue on into eternity. And then you got those more exceptional souls that have dedicated themselves to discerning what their indwelling spirit, the divine spirit, God living in them, is directing them to do, and aligning themselves with that will. That's why the subtitle on this first book is How to Attune Yourself to Divine Guidance. So now back to Jim. He's in the next life with Jean. So after you get that new body, the new mind, your soul is reinserted into that, your divine spirit's back there, your personality is all intact. Now you recognize one another. One thing that survives to eternity is relationship. Anybody you've had a significant relationship with, you all recognize one another. So after you get out of the resurrection chamber, you have angelic guides. They're with you because they know this is all new and they're showing you around. You get 10 free days and free time to just explore. So a lot of people go to the registry and they look up mom, pop, grandpa, whoever, sister, brother, children that predeceased them. And so that's what happened with Jim and Jean. And so I'll just read a couple of paragraphs of this. Jean, the wife of Jim Duncan, while on Earth, had graduated to Morontia World 1. During her 10 days of free time after her resurrection, she looked up Jim and they visited as they walked through one of the lovely parks. They sat on a bench by a pond and watched what resembled ducks swimming about and birds twitting around, but they were much more. The ducks waddled on shore and the songbirds alighted at their feet, friendly and inquisitive. There are animals up there. After catching up, Jean said, "I wasn't happy in our marriage, as you know. There was a lot about us that isn't compatible. I wish you well, Jim, on your journey, but I don't see us doing a whole lot together." No one is forced to have a relationship with anyone. There has to be an affinity, a real affinity. Now, sometimes you may be in a work group where the skills of each of you are put together. So if for some reason Jim and Jean should be destined to work in the same work group for a project, they'll be fine. The last paragraph, Jim says, "I have to agree with you. I was not a good husband. I've learned there are similarities of nature that draw people together, and the reverse. While everyone is loving and kind, nonetheless, disparity of natures separate people." And so, Jean and Jim parted. In the next life, there is no marriage, because there's no procreation. The family and marriage is a safeguard to rearing children, because God has a great plan for us. And this is the very, very beginning of it. It is such a foundation experience for us down here because of the character we're creating, the soul that we're growing and evolving. When we die, not one thing changes about us except we get the new body. That's it. The only thing that's new is we experience what it is to die and come alive again. Some teachings are what I call the banana peel entry to heaven, where you are miraculously transformed into angelic perfection. Well, if you think about it, isn't that a little too easy? You graduate with all the pluses and the minuses, all the good and all the bad, all the character values you've acquired and all the deficiencies. Now is the beginning of deficiency remediation. It's kind of like a young person gets out of high school, going to college, but he's not well prepared for college. So what do they have? They have remedial education before they could actually get into classroom work. Well, the same thing here. It's done with such efficiency and with such love, because heaven is love. It's saturated. So everyone is looking to do good. And that's the ideal down here, is to go about doing good. If you need a definition for love, I would say doing good to others puts it all in one short phrase. They have angels who are specialized in every area of making you whole from these deficiencies. So they have, as it were, angelic psychologists. And they work with those emotions that are kind of out of whack, that never got solved, or issues. And then they have also sociologists. They specialize in group activities. When they're going to put together a team, they very carefully select who they're going to put together so they work together. And these teams also have celestial people involved in them, because we have to get to know how to live with them also. The one thing that continues on throughout eternity is socializing with others, whether it's just pure social, going to recreations, dramas. They have dramas. Knowing how to get along with others is crucial. We have to learn that, and that's a very big part of our education up there. And then there's work to do. In the book, there's one woman, Sandy. She says to her angelic guide, she says, "I had such a hard life down here. I was a single mother. I had to work full time. I had 2 kids I had to raise. I was exhausted. And the work I did was drudgery. I didn't like it, but I had to do it. So what's it like up here?" So her companion and guide said, "Sandy, don't be concerned. Don't think of it as work. Think of it as progress. Because everything you do is designed to get you to a higher level. And you're never given more than you could chew on, than you could deal with. Love is the fabric of the universe. It's written that we are made a little lower than the angels. Each of us have a guardian angel. They order our steps. Look back in your life. Look in the lives of others you know, perhaps, and see how remarkable apparent coincidences caused you to go in a certain direction. And you say, wow, amazing how that got arranged. Your guardian angel is working diligently to direct those steps. And then, whether you open the door or not, that's left ajar for you, is up to us. We don't always. So even though we take side steps, and even in the next life we take side steps, sometimes it's just too much for us. So there's some things inside of us that are so deep and difficult to overcome that we will not do it in this life. In the next life, they will be dealt with. The more we could accomplish in this life to get a character that is devoid of anything negative, the less we have to do there. There are three things that occur throughout eternity. One is education. We're always learning. The other is work or progress. And the other is leisure, relaxation, recharging. I would say it's probably split your time 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I have more I could say, but I just want to check in with everybody how you're all doing.
I'm interested. Can I ask, you've several times said up there. Where is it that you envision this?
Jesus said, in my Father's house are many mansions. So that's where that concept. There are 7 mansion worlds. Picture 7 worlds around a central headquarters world. So we first get resurrected on Mansion World 1.
And are you seeing them as planets?
Oh, yeah.
Sort of?
Oh, yeah. People are not aware how the universes are material. I mean, all the star systems you see out there, they have planets like our solar system. There are trillions of planets with beings on them. It's amazing how vast it is. The planets themselves evolved like Earth did. There are what are called architectural spheres, and they are actually divinely created. They don't evolve. They don't start at a little cosmic dust getting together and becoming Earth. They are actually created. So there's no climate issues. They have rivers, lakes, but they're physical spheres. We have physical bodies. We have physical senses. And the senses are much more acute than down here. We have 5 senses down here. We'll have more than 5 senses. The first 2 mansion worlds are basically for deficiency correction. Then the real beginning of what we learn is on Mansion World 3. So 3 through 7. And in the book, I give an outline of what happens in each of those worlds. But it's all planned out. Nothing is haphazard. At birth, the plans were fleshed out for an ideal career for each of us. We each follow it or not, more or less, according to that link-up we have. It's rarely conscious. You feel out what you should do, every decision, and you get better and better at it if you're wise and you learn. Plan is that eventually we become more and more divine. It's best to look at God as He is the most beautiful, loving, kind Father that you could imagine. He has all your steps planned out, and everything is going to be just right. All is well. I wrote this with the purpose of sharing and helping others in this life to get to the next.